Surgeon General Jerome Adams is warning that how happy these holidays are going to be will depend on how people act, really, in the next few weeks. Take a look.
I want the American people to know this virus is incredibly unforgiving. Cases are going up, hospitalizations are going up. My colleagues are dog-tired, and we need you to hang on just a little bit longer because we've got vaccines coming, but we want as many people to be alive to get them as possible, and a lot of that's going to depend on your behavior.
And just yesterday it was announced that Rudy Giuliani is the latest member of Team You-Know-Who to test positive. So what's it going to take for people to start behaving themselves? I mean, it was some police officers in, I think, Riverside, California, was saying, no, it's not a big deal. You don't have to do it. I mean, what is taking people so long to understand that this is important, Sonny?
Well, I think it's because of the way that the Trump administration has handled this pandemic from the very beginning. We know that they politicized this pandemic. They politicized wearing of masks. They, said that it was President Trump said it was a hoax. And you've got, probably many, many people, I hope not 70 million that voted for him, but I think you have many people that are still on that messaging and still believe that messaging. And, you think about someone like Rudy Giuliani, who is in court and in state legislatures all over the country, sort of profiting, I think, off of these conspiracy theories about the election. And now we know that he traveled, I believe, to Arizona, Michigan, and Georgia. We don't know when he tested positive for COVID, but he obviously is now, contagious and probably has been for a little while and is hospitalized. He's 76 years old, which means he is high risk. If someone like Rudy Giuliani, who has been so close to the president, who's been his personal attorney, isn't taking it seriously, what kind of message is that? So, it's just unfortunate. My understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, 50 million people traveled over the Thanksgiving holiday. 50 million. So, if we back that up, we're seeing the surge right now. We're seeing it.
What's going to take, you think, for people to be responsible, Joy?
Well, I believe in visuals. I think that a lot, Stalin, there's a quotation that's attributed to Stalin, something like, the death of one man is a tragedy, the death of millions is a statistic. I think that people are looking at these numbers and saying, well, it doesn't apply to me or something, or it's not going to be that bad. I'll get over it. No. We need to see pictures of people on ventilators. We need to see people suffering from this disease, I'm afraid, in order for these other ones who go about their day as if nothing is going on that's any different from it was last year at this time. I think that that's important. I'm happy to see that Joe Biden is keeping Fauci on the team, even though I don't listen to anybody but Fauci. So this is what I think is required. It's like when people stopped smoking, a lot of it is what you could say was attributed to showing pictures of people who could not breathe. This is a similar situation here. Maybe that's what it's going to take.
No, I think it's a little bit different. Maybe. What do you think, Sarah? What do you think it's going to take for people to change their behavior?
Sadly, I don't know if I have a lot of faith they will until it hits their lives personally or they see someone that's going through this. Because as Joy was mentioning the smoking ads, the difference in those is there was a time where people trusted what they were seeing on news and other outlets. And right now we're dealing with a couple folds of mistrust. And that's another one, that what we're showing people isn't always enough. And although those visuals that Joy speaks of would affect someone like me, right now, the politicization of this virus has people, it's a badge of courage almost to say you're either for or against this. You believe it or you don't believe it. And right now, I know Sonny mentioned Rudy Giuliani, and I hope for anyone who's been affected by this virus that there's a speedy recovery. But with that said, it frustrates me to see that the very people that don't take this seriously and flagrantly disregard the science are taking up the resources. And right now, our frontline workers are killing themselves, literally and figuratively. They separate from their own families. They don't go home. They work shifts until they're dead tired. They're dealing with mental illness that's never been seen before. They're witnessing death in a way that traumatizes someone, and they're not going to get past all this. And right now, whether you wear a mask or not, we all show up at the same hospitals. And right now, I read a statistic that says that in South Dakota, a network of 37 hospitals, they've sent more than 150 people home with oxygen tanks to keep beds open for even sicker patients. Now, remember, this goes beyond this virus. There are people that have health issues that need to see doctors and need to go to hospitals. They're being turned away too. So right now, our resources are just stretched too thin, and this is the part that makes me mad. You can choose to take your health into your own hands, but it affects all of us.
Yeah. Well, this morning, President-elect Biden announced his new pandemic health team. Anna, does this give you some hope for the future?
It does, Whoopi. I feel real good about it. The Secretary of HHS is going to be Javier Becerra. I've known him for decades. And this is a man who embodies the American dream. He is the child of an immigrant and of a blue-collar worker in California who got a degree in economics and a law degree from Stanford, who was in Congress for 12 years, who's been leading the AG office in California, the second largest Justice Department in the country. And I remember, meeting Javier when he was a very young congressman, and he would take his baby daughter into committee hearings because his wife is a doctor graduated from Harvard and Stanford as well, and they didn't have money to hire a nanny. So Javier would take his little daughter and feed her during committee hearings in Congress. And I like the idea of not having a bunch of billionaires who don't understand the common person's struggles. I like the idea of having people who've made it, who've had to struggle, who know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, being in charge of departments, because I want not only the experience, which he has, the capacity, which he has, but also the ability to have human empathy. We've been missing that for the last 4 years. And so I'm very happy with Javier Becerra as the nominee, and I'm even happier that Fauci is staying on, because we need people who can hit the ground running and who have the experience to put the fire of this house out.
I concur.